call on every nation, including China and Russia, to fully implement UN Security Council resolutions, downgrade diplomatic relations with the regime, and sever all ties of trade and technology.
Well, welcome back and good morning. Tough talk on North Korea dominating President Trump's Asia tour.
That's right. His next stop, the nation of Vietnam, where he's expected to come face-to-face with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Maybe at this point. So what should we expect? Here to weigh in on that, former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, John Bolton. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for coming on this morning. Going to start off with the news of today, which is Rex Tillerson saying that this may or may not happen. Here's the statement. There was never an agreement to meet. If the two leaders are going to meet, if there's something sufficiently substantive to talk about that would warrant a formal meeting, there has been no conclusion made on that. I just want to start off by asking you, do you think that these two are going to meet in Vietnam here in the next couple of days?
Well, it'd be very surprising if they didn't meet. I don't quite understand what Secretary Tillerson means. There's plenty of substance to discuss with the Russians, starting with North Korea, but obviously dealing with Iran, the Middle East, Eastern and Central Europe. They've got a long agenda. And, you know, when you go to one of these multilateral meetings, often the real business is done in a series of behind-the-scenes bilateral meetings. So I don't know what the purpose of walking this back is, whether they think they're going to reach agreement or not isn't the issue. I think the president ought to take the opportunity to put it very directly to President Putin on this whole range of issues, what our policy is.
And if they are to meet, what do you think the message should be?
Well, certainly on North Korea, but I'd say on Iran as well. Russia's got to stop its support for these regimes and their ballistic missile and nuclear weapons programs. You know, we just had a day of meetings in China. They're 13 hours ahead of us on the East Coast. We got very little out of Secretary Tillerson on what exactly they discussed on North Korea. That's not surprising. Maybe there's something going on, again, that they want to keep quiet, or maybe China just hasn't budged off its longstanding position of saying they're going to do something but not following through on it. Russia's in much the same position. As long as that continues, that means North Korea continues to march toward nuclear weapons.
You know, Putin's country right now is a mess, financially and for other reasons. What is his interest in supporting a country like North Korea that almost nobody else on the good side of the world supports?
Well, let me just say first, Russia may be in a mess for a lot of reasons, notably the low price of oil on the global markets, but they are not a consumer society in Russia. Putin is in charge, and the state of affairs of his citizens is of a lot less concern there than it is in the United States. What does Putin want out of North Korea? One, he'd like a trade route by land through North Korea to South Korea. This would be excellent for Russian economic purposes. He's got a lot of concern over a long period of time about China's designs on Russian far eastern part of the country and what may happen. They've got mineral resources up there, not much population. To the south, you've got China with a big population and not so many mineral resources. So there's a lot going on in Northeast Asia that, again, Trump and Putin could and should talk about.
And just a minute ago, we had a live picture. We had to bring that down, but it was a live picture of President Trump and Melania arriving at the state dinner at the Great Hall of People in Beijing. What's your opinion of how his message has been received over the last couple of days?
Well, I think in Japan and South Korea, the message was clear and strong, and I think everybody got it. I think Japan is on board with us on North Korea. South Korea is a little bit more difficult, but I have to say the Chinese, so far anyway, are not giving any signals one way or the other. Now, again, sometimes when there's something cooking behind the scenes, you don't want to be talking about it prematurely. But unless that's true, it doesn't look like there's much movement on China, and that means that the North Korean nuclear weapons program continues to roll along, and we get closer to the point where the president's going to have to make a very hard decision about the use of military force. Otherwise, North Korea will have nuclear weapons to threaten the United States.
Yeah, it's coming close, and President Xi really is the key to all of this, and you're right, it doesn't look like there's been a lot of progress. Ambassador, thank you so much for coming on this morning. We do appreciate it.
Glad to be with you.